This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. It is I, Old Gingy Cakes, Old Ginger Face, here with you as always, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate everybody who's listened to the back catalog. That's fantastic. And I also appreciate everybody who's checked out the Sergeant Steve YouTube channel where I do body cam breakdowns. Teamed up with the company and hosting that channel for them. And it's been going great. The last video got, 12,000 views, and each video that goes out gets more. So people really seem to like it. And I already like you, but I like you even more if you subscribe and watch those videos and click the thumbs up and all that stuff. And then you have multiple devices and you do it on all the devices at the same time for maximum monetization. I'd appreciate that. So thank you guys. Today's guest is going to be a good one. And often requested, but seldom delivered on. This next guy is a lady. I have a lady copper, retired. She did 4 years with the Great Virginia State Police, then 29 years with the ATF as a special agent. Author of the new upcoming book for November 18th, Becoming Fire. Without further ado, let me bring on the great Jennifer Eskew. Jennifer.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, madame. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes, it's absolutely my pleasure. I see you have your book coming out, so you are learning all the things. You did all the hard work. You got the book. It's almost ready to launch. Now you got to do stuff like be subject to podcasts like this.
Yes, very much. I'm enjoying it so far. It's just a new world. It's very new for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of coppers that come on here have that kind of experience. And I think, especially when they're retired, they really end up enjoying it. And they actually end up with this like new friend group they never expected to have in retirement. Because you meet all kinds of great, helpful people,
I think you do. And there's a lot of people who are, I don't want to say they're fans of you, but they appreciate you. And so they ask these stories of you and what you did. And they're kind of in the shock and awe a little bit, but they're also laughing with you when they're funny. And they're getting to know you. They're explaining their first speeding ticket or the third time they went to jail that, might have been their fault that third time. Right. Little things like that. And you're laughing with them and you're telling them different things and you're going, oh no, that's not the worst you'll ever see. And it's interesting. It's different. And I think the big thing was in law enforcement, particularly where I started out, you are dealing with the public all day, every day, or all night, every night. And now suddenly you're back to dealing with the public a little bit.
Yeah.
But in a less authoritative way.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny when someone knows you're in law enforcement and then I know you've had this a bunch in your life. They start telling you a story that it's about a police encounter they had or a friend had. And they seem to be pro-police, and then by halfway through the story, they are saying why this, not cops, but this cop screwed this up and did this, and why did he do that? And by the end of it, it's just like they're just trashing the police, and you're like, how did this go off the rails?
You just sit there and smile and go, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't help you there, but...
Meanwhile, the cop was probably right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm feeling it, and I'm going, yeah, I'm kind of seeing where they went off the rail because, I might have probably, especially if you had alcohol, you might have pushed it a little bit further than you think.
Yeah. Dealing with drunks is so, oh my gosh. My dad was a cop for a long time and he was like, I remember coming home from work and coming home late or whatever and be like, we just had another drunk. And it's like the drunks, I remember being a young copper in the booking room and like trying to talk with this guy, like genuinely, and the sergeant being like, Steve, he's drunk. He's not like, because I would keep telling him over and over and he's just not listening, because you're filled with ego and self-righteousness when you're hammered, And he's like, Steve, stop trying to be this guy's buddy. He hates you. He's not listening, And then 5 years in, I was like, yeah, just process him and put him in the cage because.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah.
Go meet another drunk. You got time.
Yeah, I'm going to win this guy over. I'm going to make him like me. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen.
No, you're not.
The next morning when he's sober and his head is hanging low, maybe then, but not in the moment. So interesting. The state police just wasn't enough. Usually state agencies are they're usually like a premier agency in a state in the country. Virginia, I'm sure, is no different. So you were there 4 years as a young trooper. What year was it you went through?
I applied in 1985. I was picked up in January of 86 and went to the academy, finished out all of that, graduated in July of 86, and immediately went to the road in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth. They call that Division 5 Area 32. That was what it was then. And so that was where I got my start as far as working in uniform as a trooper, shift work, 3 different shifts, nights, weekends, everything. But that's where I was. And when I was in the academy, I saw what I wanted to do. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a criminal investigator. That before that, I really wanted to be a trooper. Now I wanted to be a trooper, but I wanted to learn how to be a criminal investigator and work crimes and catch the felons, catch the bad guys, the murderers and the armed robbers. And I wanted to learn crime scene, that sort of thing. So that just stayed a goal.
And that's
the only way to get to do that.
That'd be like a detective with the troopers in the detective division.
Yeah, they have a special agent. The state police was broken into 2. The Bureau of Uniform, field offices, and then the BCI, which is the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, which is special agents. Yep. And I was trying to figure out how long it would take me to get from being a trooper, how many years I'd have to do that, and what all the processes were to get to become a special agent. And of course, everybody was saying at least 7 years in uniform, probably 10 is the average for everybody. Could be longer, 12, 15. It just depends on, you have to have a high evaluation. You have to pass the written test for special agent or becoming a sergeant, if that's your choice path. You have to go through a panel interview and do well on that. So there was a whole gamut of things they would be looking at to get promoted. And so I realized I was probably looking at, let's see, based on my evaluations, I was looking at about 25 years before I was going to be a criminal investigator.
Just hang on to that dream.
I had a sergeant for a few years that wasn't my biggest fan.
Yeah. Now, this time in the 80s, there probably wasn't the lady quotas that they have. It was probably the opposite. They're probably like, let's try to keep this woman out. She's a lady. Yeah. We don't want her to be in this elite division. Now it's like, they're like, all right, we have a hole in the detectives division. We should really try to get a qualified female because it's all dudes. Yeah. It's the opposite now. Yeah.
It was different. And in 1972, Title IX and all was passed. And that was where, federal law made it so that I could get a job in that field. Of course, I was in the 4th grade then. I had a job on a tobacco farm. I had a job on a tobacco farm. I was already working.
Country girl, I like it.
So, anyhow, in 1976, the state of Virginia finally started abiding by the federal law and decided the same thing. And that's when the state of Virginia hired their first female trooper. She was the only female in a class of 72 that went through the academy, which I can't imagine being that person. That would have been really tough. So when I was hired in 1986, by that time, they had hired a few females across the state. But when I came on, there were 1,200 men, troopers, or agents, but 1,200 with the state police. And they told me on the day I was hired that I made number 34 of the females, sworn personnel, which was kind of an odd way of putting the wording. That's because they were referring to the weight enforcement officers, the people who work at the scales for the tractor trailers and trucks. They don't wear the same uniform. They don't go to the same state police academy, but they're a state employee who does have a badge and gun and authority to do weight enforcement with the trucks and those sort of things. Different job. Yeah. But they counted their numbers as well to make that number 34. So I talked to people years later and I said, how many do you think it really was? I said, because we can count each other up And I don't really have to take my shoes off to do the counting. I said, so what are we looking at, 22 maybe? And they were like, maybe 22. It could have been 25, but there weren't a lot of female troopers out of that 1,200 men.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I know, just talking about agencies being, kind of, I don't know, I guess bigoted, or I might struggle to find words, whatever they were. But I know a Mass State Trooper who's like in his 80s now, but it's a friend of mine's father, or grandfather, and he was in the first state police class that had a black guy in it. And they, like right out the top, said, you're all failing because he's not getting through.
Oh, geez.
And he did. He made it. And so they, at the beginning, they were like, wow, this is insane. But then they're like, is this just another trooper head game? Like, were they just using the black guy to try to mentally crush the class? Like, they weren't being racist. They were just using that to psychologically attack, because state police academies, like, it's pretty hardcore. They'll use anything they can against you to break you down. But I thought that was nuts. I was like, wow, that's a crazy ass thing to say to a bunch of people.
It is, and you don't think on that line, but there's that paramilitary thing with the state organizations. So you do learn to salute, you do learn to march, you learn to obey orders and to follow things.
Yep.
And there are always going to be, and I don't want to put this out there right now, if there weren't for the men that I worked with in my career over, my entire 3-year law enforcement career, if it wasn't for the men that I worked with day in and day out, if it hadn't been for them, I would have never have had a successful career. I don't know that I would have made it through. If it hadn't been for certain people pulling me aside and going, you're smart, you're athletic, you are good at this job, you're good at the work, don't quit, don't give up, and you can do this. And you're going to do it. You're going to outlast these people that have an issue with you. You're going to go so far beyond them. Don't let them get in your head. Don't let them tear you down. You keep going. And I had great guys that did that. And I'll tell you, the group that did that for me the most, it was the Vietnam era guys.
Nice.
Amazing that the people who had survived Vietnam come back, get themselves into law enforcement. They got a nice, comfy 10, 12, 15 years in law enforcement. And all of a sudden, here comes this 23-year-old, 120-pound girl. It's like, what in the world? And they're looking at me, and I'm still living like a college kid. Okay, this is great. They're going, no, we're going to make sure that you survive this, and we're going to help you. And they, and one of the guys told me one night, he goes, you're not afraid. He said, and because you're not afraid and you take accountability for yourself, he said, I'm going to help you. And he did. And I credit him with keeping me alive all these years. Just for spending one night teaching me stuff.
No, that's great. You need mentors like that too. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah. So every once in a while, there's always going to be a person who doesn't like you, and they can be male or female. And in my book, you'll read about, there's people that come at you that you had no idea that didn't like you.
I've met some very nasty lady cops as well. It's not just any kind of cop can be nasty.
I had not encountered catty. I think that's the word people use, catty. I had not encountered that until I met one, and I was just like, ooh, okay, well, I guess I can deal with this.
Yeah, you're probably like, oh, we're going to bond. We're both ladies. We're both cops. No, she wants you gone.
I've never been a huggy-feely sort of person, and I wasn't really looking for the bond thing, but I really wasn't looking for somebody to try to mess me over and hold me back either.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of, okay, I've minded my own business. I wasn't in your business, but all right.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Jennifer, can we go way back to the beginning of your career to the first call you had that you would consider hot, like you had a little adrenaline dump and was, got you going?
The very first one is going to be my second night, as I would call it, working alone. Like I had finished with the FTO training program, graduated academy, first thing, and it was something I had never encountered. I'd never dealt with in my life. They taught it at the academy, but I had never encountered anything in real world. I got to a double fatality, and it wasn't just it's everything, because we're on what was Route 44. It's called 264 now, Virginia Beach, and a small T-top Z20. No, I'm sorry, 280Z had hit the concrete middle barrier and had flipped 5 times, and it had ejected the driver, who was not in a seatbelt. And so she was laid out in the roadway, and then there was this crushed car sitting over. It was actually up on its wheels, but it was over near the grass now, and it was sitting there, and there was the crushed passenger. So I've never encountered a fatality. This is my very first one. It's a double fatality. There's another trooper who is going to handle the actual report writing, but he's working with me to learn this. And to this day, every smell, every sight, every visual of that entire evening sticks with me. I just remember, and I remember learning so much from what he was telling me. Like, I found myself surrounded by blood and trying not to get it on my shoes or on my uniform. But I was helping him with getting the measurements and with the body. And he's like, "You're smelling alcohol." And I didn't know, because he was standing up. I was like, yeah, I am. That kind of struck me. It's like, I am smelling alcohol. How did he know that? And he's like, "It's coming off the blood."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I got it. Okay, science, got this." And there was all these things. And the night doesn't end there, because I am the one who has to make the death notification to the family
worst.
of the male passenger. And it's worse than that, because the male passenger is actually the owner of the car, and I had to make the notification to his wife and teenage kids. And the wife pulls me aside and wants to talk to me, and it took me a minute to figure out what she wanted. She wanted to know if there was anybody else, and I wasn't allowed to tell her about somebody else being deceased by certain rules. And then she looked at me, and I understood that she needed to know, because the next morning it was going to be in the paper, and it was going to be on the TV, and her children were going to find out, so she was going to have to talk to them. So I just confirmed to her that there was a deceased female. And you realize I not only have flipped their whole world upside down, but hers has just done this somersault in this moment. And everything is coming for her there. And this lady turns to me and she says, "Then I will pray for her too."
God bless her.
And that one caught me. And that was, like I said, that was night 2, the second night. So, so it was a lot. You take a lot in. And then the trooper who was assigned to actually working everything, he taught me through the paperwork of what he had done, the pictures he had taken, everything, so that whenever I arrived at something like that, I had all of that in my head. I could just pull to it. It was better than just the academy. This was like hands-on right here. This is it.
Yeah, you see it and do it. So it's and it's high stress, so it's being burned into your brain.
Yes, it is. And here I am, 63 years old, and it's still there 40 years later.
Yeah, and that's a real test for young coppers too, is like going to your first scenes like that where there's death and mayhem like that, because all the other cops are wondering, like, you've had all the training, but how are you going to be when it's like this? When this is the thing they tell you about, the stress and the things that depression and whatever can happen to cops, but then you actually you get the baptism by fire, and how are you going to deal with it? Can you handle it? Type of thing.
Very much. And you keep them busy. And I think I was learning that from that trooper that night too. Cecil Bray, great guy. But I think I was learning from him that night the same thing of, hey, keep her busy, keep them focused on the job at hand. We have a job right now to do. keep this new trooper and the other new trooper that are out here with me active and engaged and busy, and go through with it. And I was like, okay, and I think I learned that. So later on, I was able to do the same thing.
Kind of Sherpa some people along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that so? Back when that happened, did they have a accident recon team come out, or was it just the troopers just did themselves?
They had it, but it was for more major type of accidents, and that wasn't really viewed as major. If you had maybe a tractor trailer crush a bunch of cars,
like commercial vehicles or something
of that nature. If we had some weird ones too. Never a dull moment in a metropolitan or growing metro area ever. There's always the interstate is its own city, is what I used to tell people, and they'd be like, "What?" I said, "Well, if you figure rush hour, both morning and night, and then all of the cars, and then the weekends, and then the vacationers, all of that, you add it all in, and just your daily commuters plus all the tractor trailers and the trucks going here there." I said, we're averaging at that time probably 125,000 people a day hanging out on our interstates at any given time. And I said, in that mix, something is always going on. There were rapes, there were homicides, there were plenty of bad accidents, there were kidnappings or everything. We had some road rage back in the day, shootings. You did not know what you were going to encounter, from pulling somebody over for speeding to getting a call to what you thought was an accident and getting there and finding out, no, this person decided to commit suicide. They've gone out and bought like hundreds of gallons of gasoline and put it in containers in their vehicle and then their trunk and all over the place, and then driven as fast as they could into a concrete pillar of a interstate overpass. And it's like, this is not an accident. This is a mess. Yeah. You need an accident reconstruction team and a few other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the routine, the routine traffic stop, they hate you to say that, is like, it's traffic stops. You never know who you're dealing with, who you're pulling over. And I even know people, it's funny because we just get so used to it because we just do them. And, half the time it's just some normal person just went too fast and they're fine and whatever. But I've talked to people since I've been a cop, and they'll be like, I can't even imagine doing traffic stops. That is terrifying to me. And I'm like, really? Why is it so terrifying? Like, cause you don't know, like, what if you're pulling over some psycho and you can't see him? It's nighttime. They could shoot you right away. And I'm like, I guess I probably just, for my own brain, I don't think about that stuff too much, Yeah.
I guess it's a perspective thing, or maybe you just keep doing it. And after a while, it's like, this is what it is. And,
right.
I think if I were doing it, I would probably still do it textbook, exactly like we were taught in school, because that seemed to work. And I would probably have the same exact conversation that I had with everybody.
Yep.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? The reason I stopped you this evening is, or this morning is, and then you just kind of go from there. I don't know how I would function with the body cam and people yelling and screaming at me or telling me or holding a camera in my face while I'm trying to talk to them. And I'm
right.
like, we want to discuss the 77 and the 55 mile per hour zone. That's all I'm here about. And,
yeah.
Okay. You don't want to talk to me. I understand that. Could I just have the driver's license?
I know. It's so funny with these people filming the stops too. And they'll, like, 90% of them, they post them online like it's a gotcha to the cop. And if the cop just, like you said, just does the traffic stop normally, the person looks like a jackass. You're like, what are you exposing here? You were speeding and the cop was polite to you? Like,
or that you were able to scream at me the entire time that I was just
right.
trying to give you the ticket. And I got to tell you, if you're going to do something like that to me at this point I'm not going to be out there at this point in my life, but if it was, I'd be looking for everything.
Right.
So I gave you paper for everything, versus had you been just nice and cordial, polite, you don't have to thank me. I know I used to have people that thanked me. Like, I guess they were just a part of the politeness. You just kind of do it naturally. But if you're cordial and polite with me and I'm cordial and polite with you, when we get to the courthouse or the ticket comes up, I will tell the judge, what a decent person you were. And But if you're really, really rude to me and really, really being nasty, I told the judges about people like that too.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, I always put on my, when I write a money site, I always put a little note. Either I'll put like very cooperative, apologetic, or I'll put like long driver history, did not agree that they had done something wrong, just so there's a little idea. And usually they expose it themselves with the clerk because they can't help themselves. They start bitching at the magistrate, and the magistrate's like, oh, I know this person. I know this type of person.
I stopped a guy. He was a motorcycle. He was actually a real MC club member, real one percenter, if they want to call him that. And big guy, big, stopped him. He had a warrant on file, so had to arrest him the whole bit. And we're going through all of this stuff. And as we're doing the thing, he goes, "Trooper, I think you got a problem." I'm like, okay. Like what? He goes, your tire's flat, your front tire. Sure enough, my driver's side front tire was flat. I'd hit something when I pulled up there. I was like, okay, yeah. And he said, "Look, I change tires all day long. That's what I do for a living." He said, "You got this stuff in your trunk. I'll do this for you." And I said, "No, I can't let you do that." He goes, "I'm not going to cause you any problems." He said, "I don't mind changing the tire." I said, "No, I got this." And he goes, "No, ma'am." He said, "My daddy would not like that." I'm looking at him like, and I said, "Well," and I'm trying to do this like awkward. I said, "No problems," right? He goes, "No problems, ma'am." He said, "I get it." He said, "That thing that I got to go to court for," he said, that's some child support. He goes, "I'm good." He said, "I'll help you out." So we both got the tire changed, got everything done. And I said, "You understand I still have to take you, in down to Norfolk." And he said, "Not a problem." So I drove him down there. We got down there and stuff. I made notes with the magistrate to make sure that they knew that he was super cooperative.
Yeah, more
really
than helpful.
Nice guy. I mean, I get that he's got a pretty lengthy criminal history, but he wasn't mean. He wasn't rude. He was polite. He was helpful. And then I checked to see what date he was going to be in court. I made a note of it. I made sure I went down to the courthouse that day. I got an appointment with the judge that morning real fast, ran in and just told him what I had to tell him. That, hey, he's actually a really decent guy. He did this for me, helped out and gave me no trouble. So if you could cut him just any mercy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, and the judge did. I mean, I waved at him in the court that morning, and he waved at me and smiled. I guess he thought he had a friend.
New buddy.
I don't know. My new pal.
Wow, that's great. Well, you certainly took a little risk there, but it paid off.
It worked out. Of course, it was broad daylight, and it was kind of a middle of the day arrest or type things. And like I said, I think things can still be that way. I just guess things get crazy.
Yeah, everybody's so just the world we live in, especially the state I live in, Massachusetts. Everybody's so litigious. So it's like back in the day, like you're even when I was a kid, there was cops that would they catch you with beer, they'd pour a big puddle of beer on the ground and make you do push-ups in the beer, and then they would bring you home to your parents. You know what I mean? Like a little roadside justice. And I've told this story on here before, but eventually, as time went on, and I wasn't a kid anymore, I heard that the cop that did this got dragged into the chief's office because an irate mother came in because her kid came home and his shirt was all wet with beer, and the chief said, "Hey, you know what? These complaints keep coming in. We're not doing this anymore. Just arrest them." So there you go. Now your kid's arrested. So would you rather have the wet shirt from the nice cop? Yeah. And he had, he would screw with him when they were doing push-ups like he was a drill sergeant. Like, it wasn't mean. It was like, playful. But they just so people, we just ruin everything. What's wrong with us?
Yeah, we do. We mess up. But it was the same thing. They always ask me about like warnings and stuff. And I told people, I said, I gave out warnings at first because we could do a verbal warning, a written summons, traffic ticket, depends on what you're doing, or we could actually physically arrest you and then go before a magistrate and get a warrant and charge you and still write you the summons because that goes along with it. But that was the three choices I had at the time. And I started out and I was able to give a couple of warnings early on. And I had been warned. The older troopers had told me, it will come back on you. People will complain. They'll get mad that you stopped them and wasted their time, that you were just trying to harass them. And sure enough,
Unreal.
out of probably 4 warnings that I gave out in my first 2 months of working, 3 of the 4 of them called up to complain about me being rude or that I was wrong about their speeding or whatever it was. And I had to write what we called a blue and 2 back then. And it was on blue letterhead paper, official paper, answering to the complaint. And it had to have 2 copies. So a blue and 2. And I had to write it all out. Our secretary back then would type all that out for us. Then I had to sign it. But I had to answer to it. I had to sit down with a sergeant, explain that I wasn't rude, that I was polite. He goes, well, let me see the traffic ticket. I didn't write them one. Why didn't you? I gave them a warning. They were doing 64 and a 55, and I just thought I'd give them a warning.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you, and they would always explain to you, and you'd think the sergeants were being kind of flippant, but they weren't. They go, do you understand that if you had given them something in writing, that their complaint would be obviously because that was what they were doing,
Right.
Everything. I don't think it says I have a battery issue, but I don't think I do. I think everything's plugged in. But
seems good to my end. I don't have a battery meter over here. I hope you don't zonk out on me. Jennifer, can you think of a strange or bizarre thing you dealt with in your law enforcement career?
Yeah, naked people. Naked people. Always. It's always problematic, and it is never pretty. It's
never the ones you want to look at.
And you don't want to have to touch them, and you have to.
Yeah.
And and when you're of certain size or certain age, it's just not a good thing. So naked people is the worst. It's comical at the time and not comical, and it's tough to deal with that because somebody's got to put hands on, and somebody has got to sort of search them. It's like, I don't know, just to be sure. Yeah, so that's the
naked folks. I know. I always feel for the Florida cops. They're out on the beach. How you're watching the video, but you know how hot it is. They got their vests on, and there's some jerk that's drunk, and they have to drag this slippery, wet, hammered, fat guy up to the parking lot, and it's like by the end of it, they're just the sweat is pouring into their eyes. I'm like, you're gonna need a new uniform after this because you were covered in sand and sweat. Horrible.
Yeah, I always got called because I was the female trooper.
Searches.
And I was if I was working, I was available.
It's the bane of the female officers.
Females.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Come search the female, and it's the females that suddenly became naked in the middle of whatever you were doing. And you're going, how did they? Why did their dress fall off? What is this outfit, and why didn't you wear anything underneath it? And it would happen every once in a while. You just were like, this is just not pretty. Just don't do this.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I'm on a county board where I'm a cop now, and it's always like you always hear they'll call for a female 2 towns away, and I'm like, can you come to this city and search this lady and walk up? It's like, oh.
Yeah, what
sucks. That sucks.
I had years later in my career when I was with ATF, and I was starting to do I was doing a lot of arson criminal cases, and I had a new task force partner, and he had powers of arrest, but he had never actually gotten to physically arrest anyone. They always sent the local PD out on the warrants and didn't let him go. And I said, well, don't you worry about it, Mark.
Yeah, got to get him
Mark,
on.
I love you. Yes, I love you, Mark. So I was like, yeah, Mark, I'll go with you. We're going to arrest Mr. Shinkman and his girlfriend. And for this arson, I had to burn down a place that had like 8 different federal housing units in it.
Nice.
And so, he's just a pleasant guy. I said, Mark, I'm going to go around the side of the building where their window is at. And I'll be out there. I said, you're going to get to go to the door. You've got a couple other guys with you. Everything is there. I said, don't shoot him. Whatever you do. I said, we know he has a BB gun, a handgun. It's a BB gun. It's not a real one. We have triple checked with everybody. He does not own a handgun to our knowledge. So be careful. BB gun. Let it go. Just, be careful. Well, I knew that there was no way that this gentleman or his girlfriend could fit out of that back window. Not ever. Like, they have to take out half that wall to get either one of them out of it.
Understood.
And I knew at 6 a.m. these people were not going to be dressed. There was no way. It just never is. They never are and stuff. Mark was so thrilled he got to make his arrest. And I said, so how were they when you found them? He goes, they were both butt naked. And I was like, yep.
That's awesome.
I said, I knew they would be. And he said, and they had these empty donut boxes all around where their mattress was on the floor at. And I was like, yeah, that's common too.
A little late night nibble, just roll over and eat a powdered donut.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, this is the 18-hole donuts. I said, and not a one left. He goes, no. And he said, they had like 3 empty 18 boxes. And I went, yeah.
Oh.
I said, that late donut shop run, buddy. But yeah, he got his eyes full that night. He was just like, yeah, that was pretty bad. I said, I said, that's it's different. I said, and you had to search them too, didn't you? And he goes, yeah. And I said, and then you had to help them find clothes that fit. And so they could have something to put on to go to court. And also that's, naked people are always, it's always something.
Yeah.
It's always not, and it's never pretty.
That's the problem with getting going to a house for a warrant. And then, because once you have the guy, you're not going to like just let him disappear into the house. But if he or she is not dressed, then now you're, if you're a decent person, you're not going to drag him out of the house naked and throw him in the car. You're like, all right, let's get some clothes.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I've got this. Yeah, you've got to do something with them. You've got to get them dressed if you can. I mean, there's some people that are so messed up, you can't. You're fighting with them to try to get them dressed. And I think one of the last warrants I went on, the little gal that we arrested, she was pregnant, and she had been a exotic dancer. I think that's the nice way to put that. But she wasn't dancing anymore. She was now working at McDonald's. And so all of her everyday wear clothing was minuscule, 1. 2, she had an entire closet full of it. 3, it didn't fit. And she was getting very embarrassed, and she started crying, and because she wanted something nice to wear to court if she was going to have to see a federal judge.
Right.
And so I was like, tell me what size you wear. And she goes, where are we going? I said, just tell me what you wear. And also I went down to Dollar General, thank goodness, and I found something that was reasonably okay for her to wear for court for her first appearance. Nice. And that it looked nice, and that it wasn't a mini cut-off half tee and a pair of shorts that said juicy on the back or something like that. We couldn't have that. And I agreed. And it wasn't her blue jeans, unable to zip or button, and so you try to help people out. And so that was one of my last warrants that I went on, was that with her, and trying to encourage her to maybe look at a different career field once the baby came.
Yeah, maybe you should change your path just a little bit. This is a good wake up call. There's a federal agent buying you appropriate clothes.
I'm down here buying clothes. It's not the only time. I had a couple people that were defendants that only had jumpsuit orange. They didn't have any family that would come and bring them a suit or nice court clothing. And so I had a judge order me to leave and go take the defense attorney's money, which was fun. Mr. Bressler's money.
Yeah, an Armani suit.
So I said, Walt, what are you going to give me? So Walt gave me money, and I went down to a place called Ernie Sullen's Outlet and bought khaki pants and a button shirt for his client to wear.
Old Ernie Sullen's. Who hasn't been there before?
Ernie Sullen's Outlet, the big man jeans, because he had like up to size 64.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, big man jeans. So, if you were 64-inch waist, you could still get your jeans there.
Yep. I had a buddy in college that was like 6'9", my roommate, and he used to, because of how tall he was, he used to go. He goes, sometimes I have to go to these friggin' big and tall stores. He goes, but they're mostly designed for fat people. He goes, so I hate going there. He goes, I need it because I'm so friggin' tall. But mostly they just have like size 60 pants. So he would go in there and try to, because his pants were like 30 feet long,
A lot of
Jennifer, can you tell us about your most intense or terrifying moment on the job?
I go into this in my book. I was working undercover for the state police. I'd become an undercover trooper my last year on the job. And I was buying a lot of crack, cocaine, heroin, that sort of thing. And I was working in Portsmouth, Virginia. And at that time, this was like 1990. So around 86 or so, Portsmouth kind of exploded into just a very dangerous place to be. And it just got worse with the gangs and the shootings, the drive-bys, the armed robberies, carjackings, things that just picked up in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some very, very terrible neighborhoods that had gotten extremely run down. They'd been federal housing neighborhoods that at one time were mostly families and people that needed the housing, but the gangs had kind of taken over, and heroin had ruled the streets for a while. So I was there, and they sent me in to buy from a guy named Freddie. And Freddie was in a wheelchair. So the first time I bought from Freddie was bad. I should have learned my lesson from that first time, that this is not the safest place to go back into to buy from. I got 4 white guys sitting in a van 6 blocks away, and I'm not even sure if they know which apartment I'm in the complex. And I don't know how long it takes them to get to me if something goes wrong. So this is already in my head. They've gotten 2 black officers from the city of Portsmouth to work with us, and they patrol or walk the neighborhoods. So I know they're sort of somewhere close, and they've got an earpiece. And everybody had been telling me, "Oh, what's your bust out? What's your signal if you need help?" And I went, "Help? I've been working undercover now for 10 months. My signal is help." If you hear me saying help, I mean help. Don't, no, there's no tricky words, no tricky anything.
Banana.
Just help. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the black guys and I had this agreement that if it got really, really bad, I was to get low and small, get to the floor and get small, because they were coming. I thought, all right, you can't panic and get low and small too soon into this incident. So I get there this night to buy, of all things, $20 worth of crack. This is not a lot.
Right.
And it is certainly not worth my brains being splattered across this crack den.
Not at all.
But not. So I get there, and I get redirected through this little dinky ass place that's got maybe a 25-watt bulb in you can't really see much. And the next thing you know, I'm doing something I shouldn't have done as an undercover. I shouldn't have done it. I lost my mind there for a moment. I'm following these 2 bodyguard guys that he's got, because he always had somebody with him that were his protectors, down a hallway. And it's just a narrow little hallway. It's short. There's like a room off to both sides, and that's it. And a bathroom in the middle at the end. And I step into the room, and then I realize, damn, that was about as stupid crap. This is not the place to be, except that I know he's right behind me in the wheelchair. And as I walk in that room, there's a window, but it's boarded up from the inside. So the window, and there's like a half a curtain, and it's boarded up, and you got slits through it. So I'm getting a little bit of moonlight, because most of the street lights were shot out. And I can see enough in the room that there's a guy laying on the bed. And I know dead people when I see dead people. This is a dead person.
Ooh.
Except I'm like, okay, well, I see a needle. It's like right there at his arm. But I can't see enough. But I'm watching to see if he's breathing. And I know I look like a deer caught in headlights, but fortunately it's dark enough room. I don't think they can see that I look like a deer caught in headlights. But I'm sort of fixated on the guy that's not moving on the bed. And I realize I'm in a little 8x10 room, and I don't have any way out except that doorway I just walked in.
Ugh.
And I started hearing this really loud boom, boom, boom. And it's like, and it's like in my head, it's in my ears. It's just really loud. And then it dawned on me. It was my heart. I knew I was in a bad situation, I was outnumbered. I don't have any way out of the room. Freddie's now come in with his wheelchair, like right there. I can't get over top of that wheelchair and him.
He's in a wheelchair?
Yeah, he got his mobility eliminated in a gunfight that I think he won, but he still was wheelchair bound.
But also lost.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I got Freddie, who's the dealer, his bodyguards, who were good size fellas, and this corpse on a bed. And I'm there to buy $20 worth of rock. And it's dawning on me this whole time of, why did he want me to come to this room for a $20 buy?
Yeah.
Bad place. And your brain's going crazy. And then I know that thumping noise is my heart. I'm trying to convince my heart to quit. Just stop. Because they're going to hear you and we're going to be in trouble. So quit beating. And I get my $20 rock and I'm trying to figure out how to get past Freddie and like, what else do they want from me? I don't think I could have gotten out of there any faster. And I know Freddie was implying some other things that I could trade so I didn't have to spend money for dope. And so I got to leave. That person on the bed's not breathing. I've got to, okay. Because I've kept watching him and watching them, and it was just like, and I wanted a place to back up to. And you know those little cheap sliding door closets?
Mm-hmm.
The little sliding wood doors that are really hollow. And
yep.
I had backed up against them, and I was thinking, I am going to die in a closet. This is like not where I want to be.
Oh.
My brain was going erratic that night, and I just needed to be out of there. And I needed to get to my undercover car. I needed to leave. And that's, my whole body was screaming that. And all I thought the whole time trying to get out of there and leave with my $20 worth of crack cocaine was, they're going to follow me to the car. They're going to end up shooting me in the street. Something is wrong here. Got in the car and I left so fast, like poof, just out of there. But I told myself then, I said, I'll never go back. I will not. I'm not coming back here. This is too dangerous. The first time was really bad. The second time just unnerved me, and I had not been unnerved in buying dope. I bought anywhere from twice a day to 10 times a day, every day, just about. Not every day, but almost every day for 10 months. And I spent the first 6 months living in a housing project. So I was undercover 24/7 for 6 months. And then the next 4 months, I was just going out and buying all day and night whenever they needed. And that was the first time it really, really hit me as to I am in the worst place possible. And I don't know about the small and get low thing. That just was gone. It was like, no. It was, get the F out of here.
Yeah, they never find you. Jeez. I mean, and they did relent, though. They just, you said, I got to go. And they were like, okay, wheeled him out of the way.
Freddie just kind of cracked that little gold tooth grin and kind of kicked his wheelchair back about maybe 4 inches. That was enough. I could have walked on water at that moment to get out of there. I was like, I'm out.
Jump over and step on his forehead on the way up. Bye-bye.
And I'm trying to explain to my my folks there, because I had Naval Investigative Service, NCIS. They were part of the people who were talking to me. Portsmouth was there, my state topside agent, when I got out of there, about the guy on the bed. And they're going, he's not dead. He's probably just out. And I'm like, I'm a trooper. I've seen dead. And he's dead. And they're like, oh, no. We'll put somebody on it. We'll see if anybody tries to dump a body tonight. All right.
No one really wants to deal with that dead body. They're like, well, but he's probably fine.
I'm thinking, but he didn't breathe, and it was a long time. And I looked for motion. I couldn't see a lot in there, but he definitely wasn't moving.
They're like, Jennifer, he could have been holding his breath. We're good with that. We're not going back.
And that's where they were with it. And I'm like, not going back. I was like, not going back. I said, the first time, really bad. This time, didn't feel safe at all. And they're going, how safe do you feel buying drugs from gangs? On a scale of 1 to 10, I normally feel somewhere in the 5 to 7 range. I said, but, This was like a zero, negative zero. This was it.
That sounds
Yeah.
scary as hell.
Now,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you
It's
have
good to laugh at it now.
Oh yeah, now you can. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny as a cop.
That night, I think my heart was doing that bump, bump, bump. Like you would have heard it. You'd be going, "What is that?"
Yeah, when you can hear it in your ears, that's never good. Yeah. You're running on you're running on nitrous at that point.
And you think you've backed into the closet and you're making that noise yourself, and then you realize, oh no, that's coming from inside my chest. This is no.
Yeah, this is good for my body.
Yeah.
Can you think of a positive or heartwarming encounter you've had on the job?
Yeah. Different ones over the years, actually. When I think that's a good thing. You know, I've had a couple of people that thanked me that I didn't never expect to hear from them, see them, have anything to do with them ever again. But there was a young lady. She was caught up with the wrong guy. She was involved in a lot of dope, a lot of use, a lot of abuse.
Yep.
And she was in a really bad way. She was married to him. They had 3 kids. She could not function as a mom. She could not function as anything. She woke up to start using. She used to continue to function during the day. Other people were trying to look after her kids, other family members. He was very much in the drug business. That's what he did for a living. And we did an undercover deal. She ended up being arrested in the middle of it. I think there's 5 people ended up going to federal prison over it. She did a little bit of time. Well, like 5 years later, he was now an ex-husband, and he was due to get out of federal prison, and he had started writing letters, and he was sending letters through somebody else to then they be delivered to her, threatening her, and explaining basically that she was still going to be under his control when he got out. That was the gist of the conversation or the messages. And so she told her parole officer, her federal U.S. probation parole officer, supervised release. She told him, and the next thing you know, it's filtered back to me. Going, Jennifer, it was your case way back. You need to look into this. I'm like, I thought after they went to prison, it wasn't my situation anymore. They didn't know. You go deal with it. Well, okay. I guess that's what I do. So I went and talked to her. And when I got there, she gave me this really big hug. And she just held on to me. And then she said, thank you. And she goes, you helped me to get free. And I haven't used drugs since then. And I've got my kids back and I have my life back. And she goes, and if it hadn't been for you, I don't know how much longer I was going to last, because my habit on the meth back then was so bad. And I had all these problems. And she said, and I just didn't want to really live anymore. And she wanted me to sit down and have a glass of tea with her at the table. And she showed me the letters, and she was crying and she was upset. And she showed me pictures of her kids' school pictures. And she was showing me where she'd been helping them out with their studies. They were like elementary and middle school age at this time.
Okay.
And she was showing me where she was helping them with their schoolwork, and she was able to do these things. And she wanted me to see how clean her house was, which was nice, because the last time I'd seen it, it was not. It wasn't fit for dogs. It wasn't fit for people. Rats would not have wanted to really live there, or they would have been really comfortable. One of the two, but either way, it wasn't good. But her house was very clean, and it looked good. It smelled good. She had orderly. She had nice things on the walls. She couldn't stop expressing how much she really thanked me for all of this. And I was thinking, this is kind of weird and all, but I appreciate it. You know, it felt good, and I really wasn't sure what was going on. And then I found out later that she had specifically requested me. She wanted me to come. She only trusted me, and that's why I had been sent. I didn't know that before I went. I found that out about 2 days later, that she had wanted me to be there. And so I was. I was able to stop him from being released from federal prison. His time got extended by another 3 years, I think, at that point. When he did get out, I made sure that we kept a good eye on him right from the get-go. Within 2 weeks, he was being locked back up again. And
No
so he
surprise.
went right back. He went right back. Yeah, he was that kind of guy. So it felt good. And I kind of thought maybe watching him like that, I felt like I needed to protect her. I needed to keep
Yeah.
protecting her, make sure that she didn't ever have to worry again. And so it's having people thank you is probably the biggest thing. And when they genuinely mean it, not when they
Right.
accidentally thank you for giving them a speeding ticket, but when they actually genuinely
Yeah.
mean it.
Yeah. No, that's that's a beautiful story. I love it. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice you would give to new police officers or new people getting into being a federal agent? What would you tell them?
If it's something you really want, you go after it. You become fire, which the name of the book is Becoming Fire. But
Yep.
you become fire. You make up your mind what it is you want to do, and you pursue that. But you go at it with all of the right planning. You know that physical fitness is going to be a major part of what you do in your career, from the academy all the way through your career. So stick with a fitness routine, stay physically fit, challenge yourself, learn these things. I did not like running. I didn't mind fighting, but I did not like running. And that physical running thing, you've got to do that so that your cardio system is good.
Yeah.
But get in the weight room and train there too. You don't have to run 20 miles, but you do need to be able to run 3 to 5. Do that a few days a week. Get that fitness routine and make that part of your life. Beyond that, I know we sound like old geezers, I do. But hey, listen to us. We'll try to give you some advice because I had the older guys giving me advice. Take the advice when they're giving it to you. Don't shop for advice. When they give it to you, listen to them. Pay attention. Stick with it. And it's okay to want to do something that you think that's good, I don't know, duty bound or patriotic or however you want to describe it. That's okay to be that person. It's okay to be in the military. It's okay to be in law enforcement or a firefighter or a paramedic. It's all right to help other people. Don't forget, you're out there to help people. And that's a part of the job. So, physical fitness, take good advice, and help people. You don't know what situation they're in or where they're coming from until you deal with them, and then you see and you realize maybe the situation they're in is something that they want out of, and they don't know how to get out.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing that. People love that question. We have a lot of people who listen that are in backgrounds or they're thinking about doing it and they're not sure, and they hear all you guys come on the show and talk passionately about your career, and I get emails with pictures from police academy graduations. I listened to the show for 3 years and decided to go for it. So you're making baby coppers here, Jennifer. So it's a good thing.
Sure.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So tell us about Becoming Fire. Joe Kenda does the foreword. That's a pretty great grab. Joe's been on the show twice. He's the nicest, most gracious guy. I have his cell phone number. Oh, come on, whenever you want. I love talking. I'm like, all right. So you got him to do the foreword, which is really great for a new book, because that's brand recognition right there. And then the book. I mean, look at this young lady on the cover here. Look at this young trooper.
Yep. Oh, I tell people, I said, and they go, what are you looking at? And I said, I was very much in love with the person who took that picture. I said, I don't know if they knew it at that particular moment. I said, but at that particular moment, they called my name and I happened to look that direction and they took my picture, and I'm like, okay,
it's a great picture.
Why is he taking my picture? But I've always liked it. So the book design people were really cool about, like, we can incorporate whatever you want to in the cover. Joe Kenda, I got really lucky there. A good friend of mine of 40 years from law enforcement happens to be a good friend of Mr. Kenda's, and he told him about me. And Mr. Kenda was like, she wants the Foreword. I would be glad to do it for her. The next thing you know, we became texting buddies, kind of like you guys.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
it was nice. And I sent him all the information he requested on email, and he got right back to me like really, really quick with it, and was just so pleasant about the whole thing. And I get the information from him. I get the Foreword as we're showing up for my 13-year-old grandson's birthday party. And I couldn't have been any happier. I was just grinning from ear to ear.
I bet.
Stuff we get there that day. Everything. But it was so nice of him because my buddy, the one who introduced us, Danny, he's trying to call me going, I think Joe wants to talk to you. I said, okay. I said, I'm at a 13-year-old's birthday party. I'm working it out. And but I finally got to meet Joe in person and his wife, Kathy, this past weekend in Hampton, Virginia, at the Chamberlain over at Fort Monroe. He was doing guest speaking with my friend Danny in regards to the Colonial Parkway murders. It was a serial killer that was just featured on the Homicide Hunter American Detective Season 5, Episode 1 this past, I think it was April they released it. It's still out there. But they've had a lot of questions because there was a lot of homicides, and it took DNA to resolve 3 of them last January. The results came out. But at the same time, several of the others are not resolvable by DNA at this point in time. Hopefully that might be possible, but they are definitely linked. There's no way that they're not linked. It was the same person. You can tell by just watching the show and seeing all the facts put out there. But it's been a long time. We're talking 39 years of these killings. So to get those, at least to DNA for some of them, was great. But Joe featured that with his show, and Danny, and I said I got to go and hear them talk about it for a couple of hours, and they just were so gracious, answering everybody's questions, discussing at length about everything, and it was just wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, he is such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So your book now, for people listening who want to check it out, I'm gonna have your website linked in the show notes. And when you get an Amazon link, I can add that as well. But
sure,
for now, it's going to be, this episode will come out Wednesday. So if you get a hold of me before then and there's a link, I'll just throw it in then. But
sure will.
The website is jenniferclarkeskew.com. You can go there and just keep an eye out for it and order it when it pops up.
Yeah, I'm starting to pop up all over things like YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and all, and it's part of the marketing. But at the same time, the book will be available through me, and they're setting it up on the website as to make it so that I think we're looking at doing letting people reserve an autographed copy, and I'll send it to you. If there's something fancy you want written in there, let me know. But cool. I will. Yeah. I'll send you a message besides just my autograph. And at the same time, Amazon will have it November 18th. And because of the Ingram Spark being the distributor, it'll be available if you want to order it through Barnes and Noble, through Walmart, and a lot of your small bookstores. A lot of small bookstores do that same distributor, and you can order it if you know my name or the name of the book, which is Becoming Fire. The subtitle is Chasing the Passion to Protect, Serve, and Love, a True Crime Memoir. And it deals primarily with my state police and undercover days, so a lot of that in there. So a lot of stories, a lot of different things that I went through, a lot of stuff in my personal life that sort of come out through the law enforcement career. And
sounds awesome.
Girl.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Jennifer, it was an honor to have you on. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate you having me. I am going to be watching Sergeant Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the name's a little on the nose, but I'm told that it's good. It's what like non-law will draw people in. The guys who manage this channel are like ad wizards with the algorithm. So they're like, no, we can't. We got to have Sergeant Steve. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's good. Hey, I mean, it's a good thing. And everybody likes watching those particular kind of videos because you want to see, what happened. You want to see what's coming off the body cam and what's out there.
Right.
And
I try to,
you do.
I try to pause it and give them explanations for why the cops are doing what they're doing. There's some understanding of what's going on. I just did one that's going to be coming out, and the cop's standing behind this lady who won't identify herself because she's, mad. And he's holding this device to her hand, and it's like, beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know what this guy's doing. So I went and Googled it, and I had to add a comment in post. It was in Tampa, Florida, they have these portable fingerprint identification machines where they can just hold it on your finger, and if you're in the system, it tells the name, your record, like the whole thing. They can get it like that. I'm like, well, we don't have the money for that, but that's pretty cool.
That's an extraordinary little device and stuff. I had always understood they were going to have all of that stuff eventually on your smartphone.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the Jetsons. They let us down.
Yeah. I always told our ATF students when they were coming through my arson program, I said, the smartest thing that you will have on your job is this thing here, because it has everything, all your contacts, all your resources, all the people that can help you, the laboratory, the this, the that, the things you can look up, you can scan barcodes, you can, all these things with it. I said, I started the career with a quarter and a payphone. So then that was my, my undercover life, everything. I got to use a payphone. Got to use a payphone. I said, so you've got everything at the touch of a finger, and now you can put your finger on something and they can tell you who you are. And
it's great. I mean, even on traffic stops, if you're like, someone passes a school bus and you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Oh, chapter section. You can just find it. You don't even have to get your book out,
Don't have to ask anybody. We used to keep the books with us in the car in the state police. We had all the code books. These are nice, big, heavy, expensive hardcover books. They look like Webster dictionaries.
Oh, wow. So, like bound books.
Yeah. And you've got them in your car, carrying them with you, because I got to look that up. It's like, this is actually a thing. And my favorite thing when I started, they kind of had all the laws all jumbled around. And at some point there, somebody in the state legislature actually had a good idea. Thank goodness.
Write that down. That's
had to have been a secretary had the good idea. There was nobody that got elected.
No elected official could do this.
They finally put all of the traffic and all of those things into one section of the code book, and then all your felony criminal things in another one, so that you could it was easier. I'm not over there looking at passing in the wrong lane without a turn signal. Oh, look, here's homicide. I was like, okay, look at this. You could get to the right thing in the right book. And I thought that was, I know it was a 40-year-old idea, but at least they came up with it and said, maybe organize this a little better.
Yeah, we have attorneys up here in the Northeast that have made a ton of money doing this. They do the law books, but they do the quick reference motor vehicle guide where you can just flip through and it's alphabetical. And those things sell like hotcakes. These guys sell them out of there. I went to a training. The guy was selling it out of his trunk in the parking lot. An attorney. He's like, I got some with me. He's taking cash from cops in the parking lot. I'm like, this guy's a hustler. My goodness.
He's making money, though. That's good.
He's making money.
He's probably on Amazon.
Probably.
Too.
He's hustling. We're all hustling out here.
Yeah, he's that, and he's probably like TikTok if we look him up.
Yeah. I hope not, but probably.
But it's good. I mean, if it's a quick reference, it works. And
absolutely.
So.
Well, Jennifer, you're in the ecosystem now, so I look forward to seeing more Jennifer floating around the internet, and I think I'm going to.
Probably so. And actually working on the second book, and they have convinced me to think about doing a podcast, and I put a lot of thought into it. And
yes.
Jay Dobbins got to watching something that he had posted there last night. Just happened to pop up. He also endorsed my book, which I really appreciate. But, Jay's pretty cool. So I got to looking at that video. It's unequivocal, and that's with Everfit. It's a LA gym. It's rebranding, redoing. And unequivocal is a great descriptor of Jay. And I think it's a great descriptor of a lot of career law enforcement people, because you have to be unequivocal to get through this long career. And you have to make up your mind early on that you're going to fit that definition. But I saw that and I thought, this is probably the universe that's telling me, hey, I think Dobbins would tell you, yeah, do the damn podcast.
Yeah.
So here I am, going to do the damn podcast. I guess.
No choice. I know I'm going to be getting emails from you soon going, what microphone should I buy? What mixer board?
Yeah. What light? What did you say? No.
Yeah.
It's like, but how does it work when you're outside? No.
That's what we all do. Believe me, everybody, because I've been doing it 6 years. So I've seen a lot of law enforcement and law enforcement adjacent people come up, and I will get the emails because I went through iterations of equipment and gear, and I have it down to what I want. Yeah. So just reach out to me, Patrick O'Donnell, Jay, because we've already made all the mistakes with the gear. They'll just tell you what to buy. They'll tell you the stuff.
Don't keep, like I said, and I don't have a place like my house. This is my kitchen. This is the only corner I have for what I call my I Love Me wall stuff. It's all back here. Yep. Because the rest of it's in a box in the garage, because I never had a place to put that up. I had a cubicle. Who brings up anything in a cubicle?
Right.
So this stuff here, and I told my husband, I said, put it up there, but everything is over there at that little desk. And I was like, I have an island life. We don't have a place to just have a room. So I told him I'm going to have to do these things outside or in my car.
Well, I'm in my basement, the corner of my basement, and I'll show you, this is just a green screen I bought on Amazon. And you just click it on, and you could take a picture of all of your nice accolades, and make that your background. You know what I mean? You can do almost anything now. So we're gonna make it work, Jennifer. No excuses.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It is, and it's a lot of things out there. I mean, the technology stuff kind of still blows me away. It's how fast things have moved.
I know. So you can have your own radio show in your house. I mean, it's pretty cool. You'll find your people.
And that's the weird thing. Oh, I did kind of find people the other night. They're very into true crime books. I was like, oh, well, then you people are my people.
Yep. That's the way it works. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it was really great spending some time with you. And again, honored to have you on. I'm going to do the outro to the show. Can you hang on for just 2 or 3 minutes?
Sure can. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
The great Jennifer Clark Eskew, excuse me. Go check out her book. The link will be in the show notes to get to her website. So it's out on the 18th, but I'm hoping that I will have the pre-order link for Amazon by the time this podcast comes out, and that will be in the show notes as well. So really fun interview, really great stories. Really glad to have her coming into the social media blue ocean of law enforcement officers, kind of adding to the content, and I'm excited to see what she does in the future. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support, especially my sweet, sweet Patreon supporters. I love you and I thank you. There's a link in the show notes to support the show through the Patreon. There's a few different levels, but if you pick Sergeant or above, you will get a shout out on the show. Starting with lieutenants, who I'm talking about is the great and powerful Andy Biggs. Kyle Roberts, everybody. Kyle, you are the man. Michael Roach Machines, AI Solutions. Check them out. Now to the sergeants. Lane Campbell, Gary Steiner, Adam Mihal, Tony Fahey, everybody. Seth Wright, Lauren Stimson, Jason Lau, Sasha McNabb, Sean Clifford, Tammy Walsh. Hold it down at dispatch. Thank you, Tammy. Greg Gadboy, my man Greg. George, we'll pause there. George Tessier, love you, buddy. See you at church. Dennis, Kara, Skio, thank you. Scott Young, Dan Carlson from Burley Boards, amazing woodworker. Check him out on Instagram. Doug and Kelly Newman, I love you guys. Hope you're enjoying Wyoming. Raymond Arsenault, everybody. Richard Tolles, keep on trucking, brother. Stay safe out there. Elliot Sykes, ladies and gentlemen. Brad Thompson, Nancy Hammond, everybody. Clark Luckoff. Thank you, Clark. Adam McMahon, Sheriff Ronald Long, Zachary Pleat, the great Jason Labrie, everybody. Let's hear it for Jason. Dylan Mosher, my man. John and Aaron Kate, love you guys. See you at church. Lisa Gano, thank you. Madame Sherry Finch, thank you. Gabriel Decknop, everybody. Eric Smith, the great Sam Conway. Let me do that over. The great Sam Conway. Jackson Dalton, Black Box Safety. Check them out. Thank you, Jackson. the great Marcus Johansson, everybody. Brett Lee in the Admirable? Yes. Kale Oswalt. Thank you, sir. Guys, those are the Patreon supporters helping keep the lights on over here at TPS Studio. Coming live recorded to you in my basement. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. I love you, and I'll see you next week.